I think it's time for us to get a little bit more serious. Hello, what is up guys, I'm your host Gordon and welcome to another one of my video, and today we are going to get a little bit serious in our Gel Blaster content. And this time I think I'm gonna up my game a little bit more than the previous video. Well, as you can see, this is obviously a painted Gel Blaster, and this is no normal Gel Blaster. This is actually a hobby grade Gel Blaster. And of course, more of these hobby grade will be popping up in this channel in the future. Maybe a Cyma M4 or perhaps something like a MP9. Yes, we are so venturing into the hobby grade blaster because the channel is not doing quite good, so that we need to up the game a little bit. So what I got over here is a TG ARP9. Yes, you hear me right. This is exactly the same brand with the previous blaster, which is the TG M4. That M4 is more of a toy grade blaster that performs really good. This over here is a hobby grade blaster, which the whole thing is made out of some pretty dense nylon material. And when I say nylon in Gel Blaster, we mean serious business. And it all thanks to Mac Potato for getting serious in my request. Mac Potato is a local Malaysia online foam dye blaster seller who sells rare imported foam dye blaster and even one of these Gel Blasters. So if you guys are interested with one of these, all the necessary information will be provided in the description down below. In the box, we got the blaster itself, a magazine, battery and charger, a pair of iron sight and a screwdriver, a bag of gels, and a pair of Allen key. Okay, first look at the blaster. As you can see, the aesthetic of the blaster is of course exactly an ARP9. The only main difference of this blaster is that this is a painted ARP9. Well, I personally think that it is a bad idea to, show off like a full black blaster in front of the camera. Therefore, I decided to paint all of the upcoming blaster into these kind of color scheme. The entire blaster, is made out of nylon. Everything from the barrel, from the body, from the rails, the trigger, the charging handle, the gearbox, the gears are all made out of nylon, except for this metal support bar for the buttstock. Well, I actually did my homework a little bit before the existence of the TG ARP9. Previously, we got the HLA ARP9, we got the XYL ARP9. Those are pretty expensive blaster, but the TG over here is actually pretty decently priced. Even though that this is a pretty decently priced blaster, the entire build quality is actually pretty solid. When you hold the blaster on hand, since it is made out of nylon, it's actually kinda heavy for a toy. The blaster also comes with an adjustable buttstock over here. Shouldering the buttstock is actually pretty comfortable. Since this is a CQB style blaster, it is going to be a little tight, but as a 6-foot guy, I think it is still okay. About the Picatinny situation, we get a roll of Picatinny rail at the top of the blaster. We get both left and right hand side of the handguard as well as the bottom of the handguard over here. The grip of the blaster is very comfortable. The trigger pull is actually pretty nice. Seriously, I do personally prefer to have a metal trigger because this nylon trigger looks a little thin, so I have to make sure that I don't squeeze the trigger a little too hard because I don't want to end up snapping the trigger. As usual, these hobby grade blaster comes with select fire. We got single fire, we got full auto. And if we actually notice closely, just like the TG M4 previously, this blaster also comes with a little bit of a blowback mechanism. Wow, the kickback of this blaster is actually pretty good. In the meantime, unlike the previous TG M4, this TG ARP9 comes with Mag Prime, which basically pushes the gel from the magazine straight towards the T-piece. Personally, I always like blaster with Mag Prime. And speaking of Mag Prime, the priming handle actually shares the same mechanism just like the previous M4 TG version 2. This thing comes with a functioning dust cover, so when you pull the priming handle over here, the dust cover opens as well. On top of the Picatinny rail, the blaster also comes with a pair of functioning iron sights. Seems like this blaster does not really come with a threaded barrel, so no cool mock suppressor for you. And speaking about the gearbox, the blaster comes with a Gen 8 gearbox, which of course we got a lot of upgrade parts for Gen 8 gearbox. You can upgrade the gears to metal gears, you can upgrade the springs, or perhaps upgrading a motor or something like that. Many things can be done with a Gen 8 gearbox. Unlike the famous XYL ARP9, this blaster does not come with MOSFET, which in my opinion opinion, it is actually a good thing. Some people just like to play around with the MOSFET, and not to mention that the blaster with MOSFET is much more sensitive. And of course, having a MOSFET means having another point of failure. Well, I mean, if you use like a 11.1 and your trigger discipline is bad, there is a chance that you are going to fry a MOSFET. Therefore, I personally prefer a blaster without MOSFET, so there is one less point of failure. And of course, not to mention that dismembering this blaster is just so easy. I mean, the entire receiver is just being held together by like 2 pins over here. So if you want to modify, if you want to paint the blaster, no problem. So yep, I guess that's all the quirks and features of this blaster. So without further ado, let us go test the blaster out. Okay, we are back, guys. So the performance of the blaster is great. I mean, this blaster can fire from 246 FPS all the way to 260 FPS with one of those cheap budget gels. Now you can imagine if we use one of those better, harder gels, this thing can easily go over 270. While as usual, since this is a 200 plus FPS blaster, you can definitely hit a target in 20 meters. But since I'm living in a small space, the accuracy in 10 meters is actually pretty good. So far operating this blaster, I did not encounter any jams, which is a good thing. I mean, the Mag Prime works superbly well. The Blowback works flawlessly as well. I mean, even without a MOSFET, it is still pretty sensitive. I'm pretty sure that it's going to be more sensitive if I actually put in something like an 11.1. But since I'm running such a small capacity magazine over here, which only houses something like a 200 to 250 gels, I think 7.4 is a good balance. Like, I definitely do not want to empty my magazine in less than 2 seconds, which is definitely a bad thing when you are under fire. And overall, I'm actually very satisfied with the blaster. And does this blaster passes the wall test? Of course, a big yes. This blaster absolutely passes the wall test. Since I'm painting all of these blaster in one of these like white and pink color scheme, maybe I'm going to have like a separate blaster wall just for these color scheme. And that is going to be pretty cool. Stay tuned if you want to watch it. And yes, I promise the room tour video is going to be out really soon. Sorry guys. So yep, I guess that's all of the blaster. So if you guys like this video, feel free to smash the like button. I'll be posting videos every Saturday and once in a while on Wednesday. Therefore, do remember to click the subscribe button as well as the notification bell. So yep, go to check it out and I'm going to see you guys in the next video. Adios, guys!